whether he has gone through it. Now, the thing is, what is important in this book, Nostalgia and Utopia, the very title, then what Daya Krishna is trying to say, our tradition is based on reverence and authority, and which he was not ready to accept, because he was always trying to give some counter perspective. And this, for this giving of counter perspective, we also find with Jiddu Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti comes closer to Dayaji on this line of challenging the past and challenging the tradition. Because tradition creates a reverence for authority. And when that reverence for authority starts in us, then we stop questioning the authority. So this was the view of Dayaji all through, which I have gathered from him. And so therefore he said that you question everything. When you are getting a viewpoint, you are getting a perspective, you try to think the counter perspective. And that is actually what is important, and for which Daya Krishna will be remembered by all. Because you see, the explanations that you have given, this is very pertinent. The why we fail to understand Indian civilization. Now, one thing I would say at this point of time, that Dayaji has tried to differentiate between culture and civilization. But culture is the basis of civilization. And I will definitely want the answer from you, that whether you believe it or not. But Dayaji has clearly distinguished between culture and civilization, as you say. Now, the thing is that this sort of situation that we find in the Indian, so far as Indian civilization is concerned, you say that we fail to understand man, society, and polity in Indian civilization. If he has written this because of his view that all these concepts, man, society, and polity in different philosophical traditions, they lack counter perspective. But we know that on the other hand, we know that Indian philosophy is such a philosophy which starts with Purvapakha Khandana and then Uttarapakha and then Siddhanta. So far as civilization is concerned, this type of things have not been adequately taken into account, I should say. Now, your view that Western civilization has lost its certainty of the certainty of reason, as the Dayaji says. Now, this is also true to the case, because we find in the class of civilizations, Huntington's and on the other one, you said that another point, that you are saying that Dayaji supported Marx. But if he supports Marx, then the Fukuyama's theory of liberalism, that liberal tradition. So all this thing will go in vain if Dayaji accepts Marx for this point. Now, moreover, apart from this, I would like to say a very important thing that you have said, that this trans-civilizing perspective of consciousness and intellect, this is really required. Unless what is this trans-civilizing perspective? This is nothing but the counter perspective in the epistemological field. Dayaji used to this counter perspective in the field of epistemology, that we can bring it in the field of civilizational forum, and we can say that is trans-civilizing perspective. Now, these are some of the lecture that Dayaji has mentioned the importance of other. That is very important, the importance of other, and for which this Western civilization during the present time is not doing the right thing, as we say, because you see in the West a new type of theory is emerging, pan-Islamism, which is against the Western concept of that we find in the Western countries. And lastly, I would like to say that Chomsky, I would like to remind Chomsky when he says that in criticizing Huntington, we have created a situation by which we can do whatever we like, and that is what actually United States is doing. Chomsky is a bitter critic of United States policies, and Huntington's book was initially a paper on the foreign policy of United States, and so Chomsky is version is also to be taken into account. These are some of the observations. Thank you, Dr. Tandon, for your paper. You are almost like my Guru Bhai, and so you please try to elaborate on it. Thank you.
Should I answer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Also have a question, sir. Okay.
Some other questions?
Sir, first you
answer, sir.
respond, sir. Yes. Sir, first to respond
Thank you.
to
Thank you very much, Professor Ranjit Ghosh. You were a student and for Krishna, because my meeting, I must say, is not more than 5 to 10 times, not being as a student, but simply as a researcher, I used to contact him. So you know better about the core thought of, or the development of thoughts of Daya Krishna. But here what I am focusing at is that the whole idea of his methodology, the questioning of authority, and his methodology, the questioning of authority and providing a counter perspective by Dayaji in other dimensions of philosophy, epistemology, metaphysics, and all. But when he applied this thing to the social philosophy, and especially to the understanding of civilizations, what came out, that is what I am discussing. I am not questioning that his legacy is very important, and his claim and his assertion that we lack any intellectual competent framework for understanding of man, society, and polity in Indian tradition. And this is a big challenge for those who are talking about Indian knowledge system day and night these days. I asked him that come out with a framework with which we can understand these mundane matters. Dayaji, I just forgot to tell you that in these lectures emphasize again and again that Vyavhar matters. This is a very emphasized lines of that in or some sort of you can say individual moksha, we have neglected society and political aspects of life. And this is a criticism not only by Dayaji, it is a big criticism of Indian philosophy and Indian tradition. And I think hegemony of man's society and culture in India. But even then he reached to this sort of conclusion that we lack that framework. And unless and until we develop that, and a very simple example is there. We talk about Varna Vyavastha, and we could not understand, even if we think that it was a deterioration, the Jati Vyavastha of thousands of years. We have no conceptual clarification for that, no explanation for that. Why? It was not given by the Islam. It was not given to us by the Britishers, colonialists. It was our own thing. And we could not understand, and we still do not understand.